I remember just right before we hit the tree, I heard him scream my name.
The devastation of something like this doesn't end the week of the funeral.
Seeing your family hurt, seeing anybody's family hurt, is going to take the biggest toll in your life that you could think of.
I got up and I just thought my brother was sleeping on the couch. I didn't know he was dead.
And all I could hear was blood-curdling screams.
The worst case scenario can come true just by one mistake.
I knew, I was pretty much informed that there was going to be prison time. I thought these sort of things don't happen to people like me, and I wasn't really worried about the consequences. I was too busy partying all the time. On the night of April 11, 2006, I was out drinking with some of my friends. We were fishing, we were just kind of partying and looking for some place to go later on. We went and picked up the alcohol and then drank at what I guess was a vacant lot. Me and my friend just got in my car, and I can't really remember getting on the highway. I remember just slightly right before we hit the tree, I heard him scream my name. I picked him up and I shook him and I started screaming his name and just kept shaking him, and he wasn't responding to me. My next memory after that was being cut from the car.
I was talking with my mother on the phone. The operator interrupted, said that I had an emergency call. Someone from Morristown Memorial Hospital told me that my daughter was in a car accident.
To this day, my mom still tells me about how when she walked in the emergency room, how she didn't understand why the officers were looking at her like that.
And the one man said, "Your daughter's fine, but she killed her best friend." And at that point, my knees just got weak. They brought me into her. There was a nurse there who was just glared at me, and I couldn't understand. And then when my daughter opened her mouth, the smell of wine and cheap liquor could have knocked me over.
I think my mom was really embarrassed.
And I said to her, what is going on? What happened? And she just started screaming, "Get out of here. I don't want to see you."
I didn't want any help. I wanted answers, and that's all that I was looking for.
The policeman went in and evidently told Avon what they told me, that she had killed Lou. And all I could hear was blood-curdling screams.
I felt like I should have been the one to die. I was the one that made the decision to drive, and that he should have lived, And he had so much more to live for, and I felt like I was the failure, and I hated me.
My brother, Matt, is 3 years older than me. Great kid, loves to play sports, hang out with friends, always looking for a good time. He died unexpectedly May 3rd of 2010. My mom and I found him on our couch, not breathing. I got up and I just thought my brother was sleeping on the couch. I didn't know he was dead. He, from what I've heard and have been told from the investigation, he, after work, he met up with two friends. Then they drove to Staten Island, where they picked up an amount of Oxycontin. My brother was pulled over in the Chili's parking lot, and my brother got nervous for having an amount of Oxycontin pills, and he swallowed all of them. A friend of his drove his car home because he told my mom that he's been drinking. My mom wasn't happy about it, but she helped him into the house because he was stumbling. So she put him on the couch where she could hear if there was any issues, and put him with a bucket, and then he aspirated through his mouth and nose, and that's when we found him the next morning.
The events on what Erin experienced that morning and her mom experienced is incredibly tragic. And knowing that their heartbreaking story is also repeated time and time after again, because more people, again, abuse prescription drugs, in particular OxyContin, more than anyone else in the United States, is that drug. And her story is powerful. There's another story every single day.
Police say the car was hit by a freight train, but the driver wasn't crossing the tracks. He had been driving between them.
Basically what was happening, it was a get-together between a few friends. And the girl that I was with, she got intoxicated. She started throwing up on herself. I felt responsible to take care of her. I was drinking myself, so I was a little intoxicated as well. And I really don't remember leaving the house. I felt like the road was a little bumpy, the car was moving. I looked forward and I realized I was on the train tracks.
Police say this drunk driver had actually made it 1.5 miles down the tracks, driving on the gravel between the railroad ties.
My car became disabled.
And that's when the freight train came from this direction.
So I kept turning on the car, turning on and off the car so I could get it to move just a little bit, try to get it out the way from the middle of the tracks. I literally got out 1 second before the train hit. The bail was $100,000. The punishment for aggravated assault would be 10 years in state prison. Yeah.
July of 2005, we got that, the phone call you don't want to receive. My daughter left the house in the evening and there was a firework display in town. And after the fireworks, she was walking back to her car and was hit and killed by an impaired driver. There's too many people in our prisons who, unfortunately, it ended up in a tragedy. But these are teachers. These are people from all walks of life. They're not evil people, but they're serving time, and their lives, just like mine and other victims, their lives will never be the same. Then they're changed.
I had just turned 20 when I was sentenced, and I was terrified. Going down to prison, I was taken in a police car, I was shackled, I was cuffed. You walk in, the first thing they do, they put you in a cell, leave you there for a little while, then they'll bring you out. You have to have a full strip search. You're completely bare naked and, bend over at the waist, squat and cough, and just completely humiliated.
I can't tell you how many times I went down there to see her and I couldn't believe it. She was in with violent criminals, murderers, gang members, robbers, people who killed their children. I'd cry all the way home. It was just an awful thing, just to leave her there.
The devastation of something like this doesn't end the week of the funeral. There are days, events, holidays, birthdays, when it's worse than other days. But everybody in the family is, I don't know how else to put it other than, lives have changed in a lot of different ways.
The biggest effect now is that I'm an only child, and the fact that I have no one really to talk to.
Seeing your family hurt, seeing anybody's family hurt is going to take the biggest toll in your life that you could think of. See my little brother, I'm his idol, so seeing him view me a different way, it really does hurt me a lot.
The worst case scenario can come true just by one mistake. These are not bad kids. They're normal, everyday kids. They could be your neighbor, the boy or girl next door, who, because they made one bad choice, their lives are ruined. And they'll have to live with this forever.
Every day I wake up and I remember him, and little things trigger thoughts, different songs on the radio. Thanksgiving comes around, I'm not even worried about missing my mom, I'm worried about his mom and how she's sitting alone at dinner, and I took that from her, and I took that from his little brother and sister.
when I see the pain Avon is still living with, it hurts me too, because she, no matter what she does, she can't change this.
What happens if one day, you know, I decide to get married, you know, how can I even go through with that, thinking that I took that away from him? Or, you know, graduate from college maybe one day, hopefully, you know, he'll never get that chance. And I took that from him. He's always going to be there, and always a memory of him, and constantly the thoughts of the guilt. And, you know, I don't think there's any way to fully forgive yourself. All you can do is just keep giving back in some way, and it makes it a little bit easier to hopefully help somebody else from making the same decision that I made that night.
It just takes one mistake to ruin your life. It takes one mistake to jeopardize somebody else's life, your family.
Everyone's life is worth something. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away on a stupid, fun decision, spur of the moment, spontaneous, whatever you want to call it. Don't throw it away on that, because you could be like my brother and never get an opportunity. My brother had everything going for him, and just let it go. Just threw it away like it was worth nothing.
If you're going through anything, to reach out for help.
Even if you see someone using, like if you're not using, but if you see someone around you, don't be afraid to speak up, because you're saving a life ultimately. You're not ratting someone out. You're not being a tattletale.
Don't think it's corny going to a counselor and asking, you know, to talk about something, even if it's as simple as a grade that you're worried about. You know, those things are important to talk about. And the more you stuff them, the more you're probably going to self-medicate and try to look for other ways to get answers. I drank